Back before cold brew came in bottles and fancy mixers lined every shelf, Grandma had her own way of keeping drinks cool, refreshing, and full of flavor. She didn't need modern gadgets or high-priced ingredients. She used what she had, and the results were always better than anything store-bought. Whether it was for hot afternoons on the porch or family gatherings under the sun, her clever drink tricks kept everyone smiling. So let's raise a glass and dive into Grandma's 31 clever cold drink hacks you'll wish you knew sooner. Grandma never let fruit go to waste. Whenever lemons, oranges, or berries were just past their prime, she'd slice them and freeze them in ice cube trays with water or juice. These colorful cubes were dropped into iced tea, lemonade, or water to add flavor without watering things down. It looked beautiful, tasted fresh, and made every drink feel like a special occasion. Instead of ice, she froze coffee in trays and used those cubes in iced coffee. That way, the drink stayed bold to the last sip and never got watered down. She even added a splash of milk, or sweetened condensed milk, to some cubes for creamy coffee on the go. It was her afternoon pick-me-up that hit the spot every time. She brewed double-strength tea, cooled it, and froze it into cubes for iced tea. Regular ice melts fast, but these tea cubes kept the drink cold and flavorful from first sip to last. She made batches of lemon, mint, or peach-flavored cubes so each pitcher could be customized, depending on who came over. For sweetening iced tea without stirring in gritty sugar, Grandma made simple syrup at home. She simmered 1 cup of sugar with 1 cup of water until dissolved, then stored it in a jar in the fridge. A splash sweetened any drink instantly, and guests always wondered why her tea tasted so smooth. She kept a pitcher of citrus water on the counter all summer. Sliced lemons, limes, and oranges floated in cold water with a handful of mint leaves. She said it helped everyone drink more water during the day, and it made even plain water feel like a treat. On especially hot days, she added a few cucumber slices for an extra cooling effect. Grandma used leftover juice from canned peaches or pineapple to flavor sparkling water. Instead of tossing it, she poured a few spoonfuls into fizzy water for a light, fruity soda. It tasted better than anything you'd buy at the store and made use of every bit of flavor she had. When she needed a drink chilled fast, Grandma wrapped a wet paper towel around the bottle and stuck it in the freezer for 15 minutes. The moisture helped the chill spread quicker, and the bottle came out frosty and ice cold. It was her go-to move when unexpected guests popped in during the summer. She kept a gallon of lemonade concentrate frozen in ice cube trays. Made from fresh lemons, sugar, and a bit of zest, each cube could be tossed into a glass of water for instant, real lemonade. No powders, no mixes, just the real stuff, ready whenever anyone needed a refresh. For a creamy treat on hot days, Grandma blended milk, ice, vanilla extract, and a spoonful of sugar to make an old-fashioned vanilla milkshake. No blender? She shook it all in a mason jar with a tight lid and let the ice melt slightly before sipping. It was a low-tech milkshake, but we never complained. To cool down a pitcher of tea without diluting it, she froze the tea itself in a bundt cake mold. Before serving, she dropped the frozen ring into the pitcher. It melted slowly and kept everything cold for hours. She always said, "Cold drinks stay cold longer when they look good doing it." Grandma always made sun tea on the porch. She'd fill a large jar with water and tea bags, set it in the sun for a few hours, then chill it in the fridge. The slow brew brought out smoother flavor, and it used no electricity. She'd add herbs or sliced fruit for a twist, depending on her mood. She saved the syrup from jars of maraschino cherries and used it to sweeten cold colas or homemade cream sodas. Just a splash turned a plain drink into something rich and nostalgic. With a cherry on top and a paper straw, it was pure magic for the kids, and half the cost of a diner float. Grandma made homemade sports drinks using lemon juice, orange juice, a pinch of salt, and a bit of honey mixed with water. It was perfect after gardening or long walks on hot days. No artificial dyes, just the hydration and minerals your body actually needed. She used frozen grapes as ice cubes in wine or juice. They kept the drink cool without watering it down and made for a sweet little snack when the glass was empty. For parties, she'd freeze different types of grapes and color-code drinks for fun. For a bubbly lemonade, she poured club soda over frozen lemon cubes and stirred in a touch of sugar. The fizz made it feel festive, and it was a hit with kids and adults alike. She always said a little sparkle went a long way when folks needed cooling off. Grandma used her ice cube trays for yogurt bites too. She'd mix yogurt with mashed berries and a bit of honey, then freeze them into cubes. Tossed into milk or smoothies, they acted like frozen flavor bombs that slowly blended in. It made drinks more fun and added a creamy texture that felt like dessert in a glass. To make iced tea last longer during parties, she'd freeze a whole batch in advance and store the cubes in a zip-top bag. That way, when the pitcher started to run low, she'd add the cubes instead of watering it down. Each refill tasted just as strong as the first pour. Made her own flavored syrups by simmering herbs or fruit with water and sugar. Mint, basil, raspberries, or ginger all became cold drink magic. She stored the syrup in old glass bottles and mixed them into tea, sparkling water, or lemonade. One bottle gave her a week's worth of gourmet drinks for pennies. She taught us to chill glasses in the freezer before pouring drinks. Whether it was lemonade, soda, or just water, a frosty glass kept the drink cooler longer and gave it that extra refreshing edge. She said it made even simple drinks feel fancy, and she was right. For creamy coffee drinks, Grandma froze milk with a bit of sweetened condensed milk into cubes. Then she dropped them into cold brew for an instant iced latte. No blender, no fuss, just slow melting richness that turned plain coffee into something special. She often infused water overnight with herbs and fruit. A few slices of strawberry, a sprig of mint, or even a cinnamon stick went into a jug and sat in the fridge till morning. The flavor was subtle, refreshing, and never overpowering. She said it made hydration feel like a treat, not a chore. To make lemonade more interesting, she'd rim the glasses with sugar and lemon zest. She dipped the rim in lemon juice first, then into the sugar mixture. It added an extra pop of flavor with every sip, and it looked beautiful when serving guests on the porch. On especially hot days, she'd mix tea with lemonade and call it her front porch cooler. She used equal parts sweet tea and homemade lemonade, poured over ice with a lemon wedge. It was the perfect mix of tangy and sweet, and it always disappeared fast. She used mason jars to portion out individual drinks for the fridge. Each jar held enough for one glass of iced tea, juice, or cold coffee. It made grabbing a cold drink quick and easy, and she didn't have to wash an extra pitcher or guess how much to make. Grandma froze leftover punch from parties in cubes and reused them later. She said it was better than pouring it down the drain, and the flavors mellowed perfectly into sparkling water the second time around. Nothing got wasted in her kitchen, not even the drinks. She made old-fashioned ice cream floats with just 2 ingredients: soda and a scoop of vanilla ice cream. But her trick was chilling the glass first and pouring the soda in slowly so it wouldn't foam over. It kept the fizz strong and the creaminess smooth. She kept fresh lemon juice frozen in mini muffin tins. Each puck held just the right amount for a pitcher of lemonade or a splash in tea. She said squeezing lemons every time was a waste of effort, so she squeezed once a week and always had juice ready to go. Grandma made her own slushies using crushed ice and strong fruit juice. She blended it or hand-stirred it until it turned to slush, then served it in mugs with long spoons. Watermelon, grape, and orange were her go-to flavors, and every kid begged for seconds. For backyard barbecues, she froze edible flowers into ice cubes. Violet, lavender, and tiny pansy petals floated inside each cube, making even a plain glass of water feel elegant. Guests were always surprised, and she just smiled and said, "It's the little things that count." To avoid sticky spills, she wrapped napkins around the base of cold glasses and tied them with string. It soaked up condensation and made them easier to grip in the heat. Plus, everyone knew which drink was theirs by the ribbon or twine she used. And finally, Grandma always had a cold drink ready for anyone who walked through her door, whether it was sweet tea in the summer, cucumber water from the fridge, or a simple glass of lemonade poured over fresh ice. She believed a refreshing drink was the best way to say welcome, and when you tasted it, you always felt right at home. Grandma made peach iced tea by simmering overripe peaches with water and a spoonful of honey, then mixing the syrup into chilled black tea. The fruit that was too soft for snacking became the star of the drink. She'd strain the mixture, pour it over ice, and garnish it with a peach slice. No one ever guessed it started with the peaches from the bottom of the bowl. She froze juice in popsicle molds, not just for dessert, but to stir into drinks. A lemonade or orange juice popsicle slowly melted into a glass of sparkling water or tea, flavoring it as you sipped. It was a slow-release infusion with a cooling bonus. Kids loved it, and even grown-ups asked for one of those fancy stir sticks on hot days. To save fridge space, Grandma poured leftover cold drinks, like tea or juice, into bottles and turned them upside down in a bowl of ice water. The narrow neck stayed submerged, keeping the liquid cold without needing shelf space. She called it her porch fridge, when the actual fridge was full of Sunday dinner. She made lavender lemonade by steeping dried lavender buds in hot water, straining, and adding lemon juice and honey. The soft floral taste calmed your nerves and cooled you down on even the hottest days. Poured over ice and served in mason jars with a lemon wheel, it felt like a little piece of summer in every sip. When guests dropped in unexpectedly, Grandma would whip up a quick party punch from ginger ale, orange juice, and a splash of cranberry. She floated orange slices and frozen berries on top and served it in whatever glasses were clean. It took 5 minutes, cost next to nothing, and always brought smiles to the porch table. She kept a pitcher of herbal tea chilled with honey already stirred in. Whether it was chamomile, peppermint, or lemon balm from her own garden, the honey sweetened the whole batch evenly and naturally. She said it helped settle the stomach and the soul, and she wasn't wrong. For a zippy cooler, Grandma made her own ginger fizz by steeping sliced fresh ginger in boiling water, cooling it, then mixing it with club soda and lime. The result was spicy, tangy, and perfect after working in the garden. It woke you up better than coffee ever could on a hot afternoon. She saved the brine from sweet pickles and used a splash in tomato juice or spicy V8. It gave the drink a tangy, refreshing edge, sort of like a homemade virgin Bloody Mary. Not everyone understood it, but those who tried it asked for seconds. Grandma called it her garden tonic. To stretch a small bottle of juice for a crowd, Grandma mixed it with chilled chamomile or rooibos tea. The flavors blended beautifully, and no one ever noticed there wasn't much juice in the pitcher. It was one of her quiet economy tricks. Stretch the good stuff without sacrificing taste. She wrapped bottles in damp cloths and hung them from porch hooks in the shade. As the breeze hit the wet cloth, it cooled the bottle inside. It was an old pioneer trick she read in a book once, and she said it worked better than ice for long afternoons outside without electricity. Grandma made strawberry milk using fresh berry syrup. She simmered herself, just strawberries, sugar, and water, until thick. She kept a bottle in the fridge and mixed it into cold milk for a quick, sweet summer drink. It beat any powdered mix and tasted like the best part of strawberry shortcake in a glass. And when the day was winding down, she'd make porch punch, just for the grown-ups. A little iced tea, a dash of red wine, a squeeze of lemon, and a spoonful of sugar, served in mismatched glasses while fireflies blinked around the yard. She said it wasn't about the drink, it was about the people you shared it with. To chill drinks for a picnic, Grandma wrapped them in a wet towel and set them under a shady tree with a breeze. The evaporation cooled them down faster than you'd expect. She used this trick long before anyone had fancy coolers or ice packs. By the time lunch was served, the lemonade was cool and crisp. No ice needed. She used chilled herbal teas as mixers before mixers were a thing. Peppermint tea got blended with lemonade for a refreshing twist, and fruity hibiscus tea was her go-to base for mocktails. A splash of citrus, a little sweetener, and some ice, and you had a vibrant, flavorful drink that looked and tasted like it came from a fancy cafe. Grandma stored her iced tea in cleaned-out glass vinegar bottles. The narrow necks kept the drinks cold longer and made it easier to pour without splashing. She said, "Glass keeps it colder, and it looks prettier than plastic." Those mismatched glass bottles lined her fridge door, always filled with something sweet and refreshing. She blended frozen watermelon chunks with lime juice and mint for a frosty summer slush. No sugar, no syrup, just fruit and a splash of citrus. It came together in seconds and was the perfect afternoon treat. She kept a container of cubed melon in the freezer just for this reason, and it never lasted long. For big gatherings, Grandma froze whole orange and lemon slices inside a bundt pan with water or lemonade. The ring went into the punch bowl and melted slowly, keeping everything cold and adding citrus flavor without watering it down. It also looked gorgeous, a centerpiece you could drink from. 49. She filled zip-top bags with juice, laid them flat in the freezer, and turned them into homemade slush packs. When they thawed just enough to be squishy, she'd knead them in the bag and snip a corner to squeeze into a glass. It was like a homemade ice with no blender and no mess. 50. And when she wanted something extra special, Grandma made her creamy lemonade by mixing fresh lemon juice with sweetened condensed milk and cold water. It was smooth, tangy, and sweet, like a lemonade milkshake. Served over crushed ice with a lemon wedge, it made the hottest days feel downright luxurious. 51. Grandma used leftover popsicle juice as a base for fruity spritzers. After the grandkids devoured their frozen treats, she'd collect the little bit of melted juice at the bottom of the molds, mix it with sparkling water, and serve it as a second round of refreshment. Nothing went to waste, and those light, fizzy drinks were just enough to cool off without filling up. 52. She chilled her lemonade glasses by tucking them into the freezer upside down over a paper towel. The towel caught any condensation and made cleanup easy, and the frosty rims gave every drink that icy kick from the very first sip. Even water tasted better in one of Grandma's chilled glasses. 53. To make drinks last at picnics, Grandma filled mason jars halfway with tea or juice, froze them overnight, then topped them off with fresh liquid in the morning. As the frozen base melted throughout the day, the drink stayed cool and flavorful. No cooler needed, just smart planning and a lot of jars. 54th. She always used honey instead of sugar for homemade iced tea, especially when it was still warm. It dissolved quicker, added a deeper flavor, and was easier on the stomach.